What is going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 2 of Study Hall right here on the Betting News Network, our college sports betting show. Getting ready for the college football season, which is just a few days away. Week 0 is upon us. Nate Hornung here, joined by my good friend PJ Glasser. We got Beast McNeese behind the scenes pressing the ones and twos. And PJ, we are just a few days away from 8 football games on our screen. Are you as hyped as I am for real football to be back?
That I am, Shags. That I am. And I feel like this year in week 0, you usually get like one matchup. Usually that international game is kind of the only good one. But there are some intriguing ones on the slate this year. You know, you got a couple of 30-point spreads in 2 of the games.
Naturally.
But outside of those, man, the other 6 should be pretty competitive. So I'm excited to get into it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. If you caught episode 1 of Study Hall, it is live on our Betting News YouTube. You can go check out all of our future bets, but we finally have games to handicap here, and so we're going to be giving you guys the moves on every single week 0 game, going through all 8 of them right here, right now. And as you said, PJ, yeah, it's a hell of a slate. Obviously, the Dublin game, you got 2 Power 4 teams going at it. A couple of conference matchups as well in there. But yeah, some intriguing spreads that we're going to get into here. Is there one game jumping out to you that you're super excited for? That's appointment television. I'm clearing my schedule to make sure I watch that game.
There's no appointment television game. I think the game I'm most excited for, though, is Virginia-NC State, just because it's an ACC game, right? I mean, we're going to get into some of these other games, which are exciting, but they're non-conference matchups. Virginia they made it to the ACC championship game last year, and they certainly have aspirations of having a pretty good season yet again. I think their team's going to be pretty solid. NC State has a team that I think people are high on because of the potential of the quarterback and CJ Bailey. And Shags, the interesting wrinkle in this game was they are supposed to be playing in Brazil. That's where this game was initially supposed to be played. Yes. And then they moved it to Charlottesville. So now you got all that too. These kids thinking, oh, we're going to Brazil. We're enjoying our week 0 game. Nope, you're just going to Charlottesville and playing a natural NC State and Virginia game on campus. So yeah, kind of interesting game there. But of all of them, I think that's the one that I think has the chance to be the best, the most competitive, and I think the one with the most stakes because they're in the same conference.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Conference game starting things off in week 0. Glad that it is staying on campus with it being a conference game there. For myself, I'm looking at the late night cap. Memphis and UNLV out in Sin City should be 2 of the best 2 group of 6 teams in the country this year. So looking forward to those 2 teams going head to head. And that might be where my most confident bet lies this week as well. So without further ado, let's get into that. Starting off in Ireland, the first official college football game of the season. North Carolina taking on TCU. We saw these 2 teams play to open the season last year, and it was a thumping. It was a one-sided game for the Horned Frogs in Chapel Hill. Bill Belichick kind of got his butt kicked there, but looking to get some revenge across the pond. PJ, what are you looking at in this college football opener over in Ireland?
Oh, Shags, this game's a tricky one, isn't it? Yeah. Because this is one of those games where if you don't bet TCU and they end up winning by 40, you look like the idiot that just didn't take the free money, right? It was screaming at you. North Carolina, the offseason that they've had, these teams played in Chapel Hill last year. TCU blew them out by 30 plus. And this line's moved from 6.5 to 7.5. Everybody's betting TCU. And maybe it just really is that easy, Shags. Maybe these 2 teams just show up. TCU just smokes them and both teams go home. But then on the other side, like, you know, if TCU doesn't cover or if UNC somehow pulls off the upset, you're sitting there and you're like, of course, everybody's on the same side, right? And this game could have one of those feels because, again, we've seen these international games being played in Ireland in the last few years, and these games tend to be not only pretty sloppy, but you've also gotten some upsets in these games, right? You think about how Georgia Tech upset Florida State, Northwestern upset Nebraska. You had Iowa State go down to the wire with Kansas State last year. So all these games have really been competitive. The underdog has played super close, and I don't know, Shags, I haven't made a bet yet. I'm also nervous just to put TCU in like a money line parlay sort of thing.
You and me both, man. You and me both.
feels like it's too easy. I think one thing I will say is if you like North Carolina to cover the spread or win the game, I think it's correlated with the under. I just don't see a world where, UNC covers and it's like 28-21 or it's 28-24, one of those kinds of games. I think it's got to be like 20-17 or somewhere in that neighborhood because the defense wasn't all that bad to finish last season. That offense was just terrible. Billy Edwards comes over. I'm not expecting like this massive leap. While TCU, we know with Sonny Dykes there, when they're rolling, they're putting up points. So I think if you like UNC, their path is it's just got to be ugly, sloppy defensive football. And that's the stance that I have. I don't have a play on the game, side total, anything like that. But I think if you like the Heels, you parlay it with the under. I think that's correlated in this game.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Totally agree with everything that you said there. And you mentioned, the opening line -6.5 for the Horned Frogs up to 7.5 now. Total actually looks like it's ticked down from 49.5 to 47.5. So maybe it is going to be a sloppy game over there in Ireland. But, we'll have our Guinnesses cracked and ready to go at noon Eastern on Saturday as this one kicks off. I mean, you said it, Bill Belichick defense, you got to love that, right? And you got to think the Tar Heels are looking for it to be a low-scoring game. But I got to think TCU is the right side here. Now, typically I'm a guy that would pass in this position out of principle. Look, I missed the 6.5. I missed the best number. It went through that key touchdown. So maybe I should hold off, but I'd probably be willing to lay the 7.5 with the Horned Frogs here. So we'll see if that ends up happening. I will remind everybody, we are recording on Tuesday evening. So everything we say, numbers, odds, whatever it may be as of Tuesday evening, should probably change at least a little bit prior to kickoff on Saturday. But looking forward to that one getting started in Ireland. UNC taking on the TCU Horned Frogs. No real bets from the two of us in that game, but we'll have an article out at bettingnews.com and a best bets piece, so maybe we'll find something before the weekend. But that brings us to our second game, the only one involving a top 25 team, actually, as San Jose State takes on the number 14 USC Trojans. Lincoln Riley and company starting off their campaign, Jade Maeva at home. Now, USC opened up a couple months ago as a 35.5 point favorite. It is up to about 38.5 on most books. Total as well moved up with in that correlation, 57.5 up to 60.5 there for the Trojans. Seems like a big spread, but it's probably a big spread for a reason. I think USC's got to be on the right side here. This is just kind of a statement game at home, starting things off. You're supposed to be, kind of a cusp playoff team, so this really could set the tone. I think you got to go out there and put up plenty of points. I would probably be willing to lay the 38.5 with the Trojans here, but I also like the over as well. If you think the Spartans can maybe get a touchdown or two, the over could be the play. But PJ, what are you thinking is going down in Los Angeles this Saturday?
I'm with you. It could only be USC for me. I actually like the team total over at 48.5. We're going to need 7 touchdowns, most likely, to cash that bad boy, Shags. College football is back, baby. But I look at Lincoln Riley and USC and what they've done in the last 4 years in home openers against group of 5 teams. 73-13 against Missouri State last year. 48-0 Utah State the year before. 66-14 against Nevada and 56-28 against San Jose State the year before that, and 66-14 against Rice the year before that. USC, not only do they usually win these games, not only do they usually dominate these games, they score 50, 60, 70 points, and I really don't see that changing. San Jose State was a pretty disappointing team last year, Shags. A lot of people thought they could hang in the Mountain West. They end up going 3-9. They lost 10 starters on offense, 9 of their top tacklers on defense, just a total haul of the roster. And maybe that's a good thing down the road, but I think for week 1, with all those moving parts and changing pieces, going to the Coliseum and taking on USC, who's going to have one of the better offenses in the Big Ten, especially when they're at home, I think the Trojans can just name their score in this game. I think they're getting in the 50s. So I do like USC minus the 38.5, but I think the team total over is probably my play that I like better.
I'm right there. And you're not asking for much more than their average last season, right? They put up 44 points a game. So you're
Right.
asking for, a little extra field goal to get you there. And yeah, in home and openers, they've been absolutely dominant, like you said. So yeah, I'm with you. Trojans or nothing. Team total, probably definitely the move in that game there. USC at home hosting the San Jose Spartans. That one could get ugly. But brings us to our other 2:30 window game, 2:30 Central, 3:30 Eastern, NC State and Virginia, the ACC conference game to kick things off in week 0. Now, we had a shootout between these two teams last year, 66 total points as they went back and forth. Virginia, actually one of their only losses of the year last season, opened up as a field goal favorite in Charlottesville, up to about 5.5 is what I'm seeing. There might be some 6s out there. Total has stayed the same at 53.5. Not much movement from what I've seen. Obviously, we've got different personnel from last season for the most part on Virginia, but CJ Bailey, as you talked about, still the quarterback for the Wolfpack. First ACC conference game. What are you liking here?
You mentioned all the points we got in last year's matchup. I think there's a chance we can get some points again in this year's matchup. I kind of like the over, like in that 53.5 range. I think we got two solid quarterbacks in this one. CJ Bailey for NC State, and then Bo Prabula, who was at Penn State, Missouri last year. Now he transfers over to Virginia. The Cavaliers have a veteran offensive line, but the reason I like the over in this game is NC State and their head coach, Dan Doran. His calling card is defense. Well, his defense lost a ton of pieces this offseason. He lost 9 starters from his team last year. So again, going up against a team with the veteran offensive line in Virginia, with a quarterback that's played a lot of college football, I think they could have a tough time getting some stops, especially on the road. Or on the flip side, I think CJ Bailey and NC State might be able to score some points a little bit. So this game kind of, again, like it was 35-31 last year. I kind of could see something similar, maybe like a 31-27 or something like that. The spread is 5.5, kind of a dead number there. So no real interest in that. I think Virginia probably wins the game. But I would lean with the over between the Cavaliers and Wolfpack.
Dude, my thoughts exactly, man. I think UVA is the stronger team here, getting the game at home as well. Spread's obviously moving in their favor. I think we've kind of missed the boat on taking their spread, but I'm right there with you on rooting for points in this one. You got to have an over in week 0. Everybody likes to root for points. I think we're going to get a classic shootout from two ACC teams here who, did it last season. You mentioned Bo Prabula coming over for the Cavaliers. They've also got Eli Holstein on their roster as well, gunslinger from Pittsburgh coming over. So if Prabula doesn't live up to the hype, they got a next man ready to go. But I think Virginia is going to be one of the top teams in the ACC this year, and think they should pull out this win at home. But I'll be rooting for points as well with you. 53.5 over sounds good to me. Maybe a little panel moment there, Jackson. We rooting for points in NC State. There it is, panel moment. All of us love the over in NC State and Virginia. So do what you will with that information. All right, moving right along. More of a smaller matchup here. The Jacksonville State Gamecocks taking on new FBS team, the North Dakota State Bison. After years of dominating the FCS, they have moved up to the FBS now and opened up actually as double-digit favorites at home against this Jacksonville State team. It's ticking way back into about the touchdown range. I'm seeing a flat 7 most places, maybe a 6.5 for a -120 if you like the Bison there, but total ticking down as well, coming from 48.5 to 46.5. PJ, what are you thinking? A lot of pressure on North Dakota State, first game in the FBS, and this Jacksonville State team was one of the best rushing attacks last season, losing running back Cam Cook, but they still got Caden Creel there under center. How do you see this game going?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. North Dakota State, as you mentioned, Shags, and I think anybody who kind of follows college football know how dominant they were at the FCS level. And when they were an FCS program, they pulled some upsets on some FBS teams, some teams in the Big 12. They hung around with some other teams. So there have been a lot of people that I've been seeing taking a shot with them to win the Mountain West, and I don't think it's a terrible play. But with all the emotion in that building, their first game as an FBS team at home, I think this could be a tricky spot. And Jacksonville State, as you mentioned, they were in the Conference USA championship game last year. I think they have one of the better coaches in that conference. in Charles Kelly, a guy who was at Florida State as the defensive coordinator for a few years. He was at Bama. Like, he's been with some elite programs running the defense. And that's kind of what their calling card is. And he's going to have one of the best defenses in Conference USA. That's usually North Dakota State's calling card as well. So the first game like that, Shags, in the Fargo Dome, maybe a little sloppiness early from the offense. You give the advantages to the defense anyways. But when you probably have both teams, the better side of the ball for them is their defense. I think the under is probably the play in this one at 46.5. I kind of like Jax State too at +7, 7.5. There are some 7.5s out there, and there are also some 6.5. So the fact that you can still grab a 7.5, that would be a numbers play, I think, over the touchdown, probably the right side with the Gamecocks. But for me, if I had to bet something, I think under 46.5 would be the look.
Oh, man, right there with you. Once again, man, this Jacksonville State rushing attack. Caden Creel, I talked about, 1,000-yard rusher as a freshman last year, just nine rushing touchdowns from the kid, just 4 interceptions. So he'll be good on the ground, but North Dakota State, I think, is going to have a very good trench unit. Could make it hard on the Gamecocks to move the ball. Either way, they're going to pound the ground, really churn that clock. So I do think the under is the play. Move down a couple points. I don't think that worries me too much. I still think 46.5 is a playable number. I think this one stays in the low 20s at best. So lean a little bit with Jacksonville State as well, just catching the touchdown in what I expect to be a low-scoring game. So a lot of pressure on the Bison, as we talked about, but we'll see what happens. Would you be comfortable with North Dakota State as like a money line parlay piece, or does that worry you as well?
Oh, yeah, I think that would worry me a little bit.
It's pretty juicy anyways. So
yeah, I could see the case for it. But again, if I kind of like the under and see it's a low scoring game, would make me nervous, to just put them in a money line parlay.
Absolutely. I'm right there with you. All right, well, let's talk about another new FBS team as we have actually a MAC conference game going on in week 0. The Sacramento State Hornets moving up to the FBS, taking on the Eastern Michigan Eagles here. We don't need to spend too much on this game, but Eastern Michigan opened 8.5-point favorites, up to 9.5 there. I am seeing a couple of 10s. Total looks like it stayed kind of at 52.5. I don't have much here at Sac State. Obviously, same situation as North Dakota State, new FBS team, both playing in the MAC conference game to start. I kind of think Eastern Michigan is favored by this much for a reason. But, just based on the MAC odds, Eagles should be top 6 in the league. Hornets kind of towards the bottom. So leaning kind of just on Eastern Michigan to get the job done here at home.
Probably the right side. I was thinking like a Sac State team total under maybe could also be a way to go about it. Like you said, first FBS game, traveling across the country. They're going up against a team with kind of a upper half of the MAC defense in Eastern Michigan. Chris Creighton's been there a long time. They play on that gray field, which is just, weird to look at and all those sorts of things. But my apologies, Shags, off the top. I said we only have one conference game on this slate. Silly me, not remembering Sacramento State was in the MAC.
How could you forget?
Yeah, for real. But no, this game, I really don't have any interest. Again, if I had to play anything, I just think Sacramento State could have a little bit of a tougher time scoring points. It was a surprise that they made the jump to the FBS. And going up against a MAC team like this that wants to grind you out, run the ball, play good defense, could be tough. So if I had to bet some, maybe the team total under.
I like that look. Could be a real welcome to the FBS moment for the Hornets here against Eastern Michigan. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm right there with you. Nothing for me, but just leaning with this Eastern Michigan getting the job done. However, you want to back them. Now, 3 more games left to go. A couple of them should be entertaining. We got one 30-point spread in there as well. But Hawaii and Stanford. What a game that we had last year, coming down to the wire on the island in week 0. Now they go head-to-head in Stanford, California. And PJ, there's been some wild line movement with this game. Stanford opening as a 3-point favorite, got all the way up to what I saw was 5.5. Now it's working its way back down. I'm seeing it settling in the 3.5, 4 range for the Cardinal. Total came down a little from 50.5 to 48.5. What are you thinking in this game? Do the Rainbow Warriors have a chance of pulling off this upset?
This is a tricky one. I think Hawaii is going to be a very trendy underdog in week 0, both plus the points and on the money line, because people know how bad Stanford's really been. the last few years. It's fun to bet on a team like Hawaii, right? Normally this game is played in Hawaii, so seeing it in the Farm this year is a bit interesting. And then you just dive into these teams, and Hawaii definitely projects as a team to maybe have a better season or more upside. Timmy Chang, this is going to be his 5th season. Each of the previous 4, they've gotten better and better each and every year. His quarterback, Michael Alejado, comes back. The defense should be maybe as good as it's been since Timmy Chang has been there. And Stanford, just another rebuild for them again. Another first-year head coach, another new system, another new quarterback, all these sorts of things. But I don't know, Shags. Like at the end of the day, it is still ACC versus Mountain West. Hawaii is going on the road. Like Stanford should win this game. Hawaii feels a little trappy to me. So it gives me cause for concern. I think this could just be a good game to bet live potentially. These two teams last year they played, it was a 3-point game. Like I could see maybe Stanford getting out to like a, 10-0 lead, 14-3 lead, something like that. Maybe I bet Hawaii live at a good number or vice versa. Hawaii jumps out, maybe get Stanford to like plus money or something like that. So of all the games that I was kind of looking at, this was one where I thought maybe a live bet could be interesting. But yeah, man, Hawaii just they feel a little bit trappy to me.
This is definitely one I'll be looking to stay away from. Which I'm glad it's not on the island, because if it were late night on the island, I'd feel I've got to bet it out of principle, right? You either got to back the over or you got to back the Rainbow Warriors. I can pass on this one with a clear conscience with it being in California, but I'm with you. I was kind of looking to bet Hawaii, maybe if it got up to a touchdown, because I actually wrote a piece kind of looking at the early betting odds, and the Cardinal were favored by 5.5 and up from a field goal. Okay, if it keeps moving in that direction, get a full touchdown with Hawaii on the road, sure, why not? But doesn't look like that's going to be the case, at least pregame. But maybe there is an opportunity to live, like you mentioned. But yeah, nothing from me in this Hawaii Stanford game. Couldn't really find an angle here. So we will see how it plays out. Last one that might be a little boring. We're going to have some interest in Sin City, but in Tallahassee, the Florida State Seminoles hosting the New Mexico State Aggies. Ashton Daniels making his debut as quarterback for the Seminoles, coming over from Auburn last year. FSU was laying 28.5. Looks like they're laying 30.5, maybe even 31.5 on some books. Number is climbing. The total seems to have stayed the same at 53.5 still from the opener. I don't have much other than I think this might be just Florida State by murder. PJ, what are you thinking is going to happen at Doak Campbell this weekend?
Of all the game, Shags, this is the one I want to watch the least. I have no interest. I have no strong thoughts. Florida State's going to win. Just a question by of how much. I could see that playing out where Florida State just destroys them, because, again, this is a huge year for Mike Norvell. He's got to do good things. Florida State's probably got to pull off some upsets if he wants to keep his job. And when you're going up against teams like this, man, you just – week one, like you run up the score, you get good momentum going into the rest of the season, feel good about yourself, all those types of things. But yeah, when Ashton Daniels is your quarterback, I don't want to lay anything over 30. So this is going to be a hard pass for me.
Yep, I'm right there with you. That number's climbing. I don't see it coming down, and I have no interest in it. And I'm right there with you. I might not even be paying attention to this game. Might need to take a break and get ready for the nightcap, because that one should be much more interesting. But yeah, Florida State gotta set the tone, kind of like USC. Just go out there and handle business, but no interest in laying those points with the Seminoles. But leading us to our very last game, 9:00 Central kickoff, 10 Eastern in Sin City, as the Memphis Tigers take on the UNLV Rebels. Dan Mullen, in his second year at UNLV, coming off a great season last year for the Rebels, looking to build off that. Memphis, rebuilding year for them. Ryan Silverfield left for Arkansas, taking over in Fayetteville, but Charles Huff coming in as the Memphis Tigers head coach this season. A couple months ago, UNLV opened up at a flat field goal. I've seen some line movement on this one. Up to even 6.5 is what I saw, kind of back down into the 4.5 range now for the Rebels. Total came down a little from 60.5, sitting at about 56.5 as we are recording this on Tuesday night. PJ, Sin City, what is going to happen with the Rebels and the Tigers?
Yeah, man, this game's going to be awesome. You said it was the game you're the most looking forward to. You certainly can make that case. This is going to be a good
Mm-hmm.
one. Like you said, two really good group of 5 teams, two good coaches as
Mm-hmm.
well. You know, Charles Hoff, this was a guy who was the running back coach at Bama. Then he gets the job as the Marshall head coach. He's there for a year,
Mm-hmm.
goes to Southern Miss. He's there for a year. And now here he is at Memphis. So credit to him in this NIL transfer portal world. He's gone to new stop. He's made it work. He's had that turnaround in year one. So he has shown that his teams can perform right away.
Mm-hmm.
With some of these others, you worry about new coach, bringing in all these transfers, new roster. Could it take long to gel? I don't think you really have to worry about that with Memphis. I think they're going to be pretty good and pretty well coached off the top. UNLV is at home, though. Dan Mullen is a terrific coach. Jackson Arnold's going to start for them. I would expect Alex Orji to come in and give some run packages as well. The over feels easy in this one, Shags, with these two teams, on the turf, you just feel like it's going to be a shootout. But I kind of think it could be a little bit of a struggle. I actually think UNLV is a good money line parlay piece if you're looking for a team to put together, So I don't know what UNLV, and again, TCU scares me, but if TCU UNLV money line gets you something close to even money, I think that's a pretty good bet in week 0, but no interest in the 5.5. I'm good on the total. I think Memphis is going to be plucky. I think they hang around, but I like UNLV to win the game.
Yep. I mentioned earlier on the show, typically I will pass out a principle in some instances. I am not doing that here. I missed out on UNLV minus the 3, but I have confidently laid the 5.5. Maybe too early because, again, the 4.5s are out there, so I might have jumped the gun, but I have locked in UNLV minus the 5.5 here. I think they're just going to show out at home and get this big win with the new head coach for the Memphis Tigers. I saw a great stat from Sportsbook Tommy Lorenzo. Dan Mullen in season openers, 12-2 straight up, 8-6 against the spread, 57% hit rate ATS, 86% straight up. So I'm right there with you. I think UNLV as a parlay piece is a great move, but I'll back them on the spread this week as well at minus 5.5 for the Rebels. So that is what we got, PJ. 8 games up, 8 games down here on Study Hall, episode 2, breaking down the week 0 best bets. As we kind of wrap this up real quick, kind of a shorter episode here, just with it being just week 0. Don't worry, folks. They will be longer in the future with a full slate of college football. But, PJ, right now, the best bet against the spread this weekend, week 0 college football, what are you hanging your hat on?
Oh, man, it's a good question. If I had to bet something against the spread, I actually think it'd probably be USC, if I'm being honest with you.
Okay.
I think I'd lay the lumber at 38.5. Again, I think the team total over 48.5, 49.5 is probably the better way to go. But I mean, this is just what Lincoln Riley and USC do, man. These early season games at home against a group of 5 teams, they just blitz them. And they score a bunch of points. They can't hang with the speed and the athletes and the quarterback play. Mayava was just, again, I bet them against Missouri State last year, Shags. I watched way more of that game than I should have. I mean, Missouri's, they just they can't stop. I mean, it's like Mayava throws a little out pass to a receiver and Makai Lemon just juke touchdown. And it's just really men against boys out there. So it's a big number, but it's big for a reason. And there's some intriguing underdogs. Like we talked about Jacksonville State, is North Carolina going to find a way to hang around? But I really think USC is probably my favorite bet.
Right. And, there has been a little bit of movement on that spread, but, we see that every single opening game with USC. And as you mentioned, it doesn't matter. They just blow teams out of the water and put up plenty of points. So USC team total or on the spread there. I'll hang my hat on UNLV. I'm really confident in this Rebels team taking down the Tigers. So that'd be my favorite spread of the weekend. I don't need to ask you about the total because it sounds like we're both on NC State, Virginia over the 53.5. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Like the points in that one. We got 35-31 last year, so hopefully we get the same thing again this year.
Perfect. Yeah, it kind of interested me that total was set a little lower based off what we see last year. I understand there's, new players on the field, but 53.5 seems way too low. So over on NC State and Virginia. And then one more time, I guess I'll just ask you a safe money line piece. Who is winning this weekend? No spread involved. Who's just walking out with a W on their record?
I think it's probably TCU. Like, they would really have to play bad for them not to win that game. I could see North Carolina covering, but TCU would really have to give it away for them to lose that game. I mean, they're just better really in all three phases. They're just a much more talented team. But it is college football and there are a bunch of upsets. And again, that one's only 7.5. So it wouldn't be the craziest thing in the world if USC wins, but TCU should be good. And then again, I do like UNLV as a money line parlay piece as well. I think that's pretty solid. But some tells me, Shags, there'll be a lot of TCU, Virginia, UNLV money line parlays. And
a lot of them.
One of them favorites is going to make them sweat. So we'll see which one it ends up being.
Yeah, I'm seeing right now TCU UNLV will get you about plus 104 on one of the books out there. So yeah, I'm sure adding Virginia to get a little bit more juice will be very, very popular this weekend. And as you said, it's college football, man. Crazy things happen, and probably one of those three favorites will go down. But we'll see what happens. I'm big on UNLV, like I said, obviously on their spread at -5.5. But I think the Rebels are safe this weekend. Dan Mullen, get the job done in Sin City, please and thank you. Well, PJ, I think that kind of wraps up this episode 2 of Study Hall right here, breaking down week 0 of the college football season. Anything else that you're looking forward to that you need to share with the kids here?
Just excited the ball's back, Shags. We made it, man. It's I know we're really all excited for like week 1 when we get to see everybody play. And you're like, it's just week 0. But when it's Saturday and you're out at a bar, you're out somewhere, you're just at home and you turn on the channel and you just see that college football is on TV, you're going to be like, oh, this is pretty sweet. And as I mentioned, I mean, we do have some interesting matchups. Memphis UNLV should be good. NC State Virginia should be good. Stanford Hawaii should be good. And TCU North Carolina, even if it's a blowout, just to watch what that looks like. And Belichick is going to be enjoyable too. So I think you got some intriguing games. And yeah, man, just excited that he's back. We have made it every Saturday until April. We got college football or college basketball. So pretty good.
Gotta love it, man. Looking forward to it all season long. This is just like the opening bread at the restaurant, right? Next week, Thursday and Friday, that'll be the appetizers, main course next Saturday for week 1. But we're going to enjoy football on our screens this weekend. Appreciate you guys watching. Be sure to check out episode 1 as well. Get all of our future bets before the season kicks off on Saturday. But we will see you guys next week. Appreciate you watching and enjoy the college football season. Peace out.